I can pass it off if he shows
Might
up.
as well get on with this, hadn't we? Okay.
We'll call the December Area Plan Commission meeting to order. Can I have roll call?
Brian Baker,
Present.
Tammy Bolin,
Present.
James Chrisman,
Yes.
John Collette,
Here he is.
Jim Crawley, Jeff Ford,
Here.
Norm Froderman,
Here,
Don Folk,
Here.
John Hanley,
Here.
Marcus Mauer,
Here.
William Verdine, Debbie May, Mike Morris, Fred Wilson,
yes.
Okay, we do have a quorum. I would like everybody to rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I think everyone's had an opportunity to review the minutes and the status report. Are there any corrections?
Motion for approval.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Are there any public comments on non-agenda items? Okay. Director's report and Assistant Director's report.
Good evening. This month I took a little bit more of an artistic license with my report. I don't do so very often, but I'd just like to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to do so. Also, we have Plan Commission deadlines and meeting dates for next year. This does need your approval, please. You will notice that there are 3 of the meeting dates that have Commissioners' Room written next to them. In lieu of shifting our meetings back to accommodate closures in this room, we just decided that we could best accommodate by staying on course with our regular meeting dates and just shifting them to the other part of the building. So we've had success in utilizing that room in the past, and I think we can do so, and that's why we've just decided to go forward with utilizing the Commissioners' area of the building.
Good idea.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented in 2023.
Second.
Thank you.
In favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Anything?
No, I've been working on updating the area plan department's website to kind of make it easier for everyone to use and find our ordinances and applications and everything easier. So if anyone ever has any recommendations on what you'd like to see on our department's website, let me know and I can update it.
What she has done is taken everything that was hidden in directories and searches and moved it right up to the front page. So you click on the area plan website, everything you need is right there now. So just trying to make everything user-friendly, trying to make everything easier for the general public to access the documents they need, and for us too, because when they call and say, where do I find this, where can I get this, we can say, just go right to the webpage, it's right there on the bottom.
Anything else? Any questions from the Planning Commission? Have a motion?
Motion to approve the director's report.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion passes. I think everybody's seen the Flag Committee report. I think we'll move right on to old business. Under subdivisions minor, docket number 77, file 32, 2022, Stone Acres.
Okay. Stone Acres subdivision, as you recall, was tabled last month. Just as a refresher, the property is commonly associated with 11091 East Flesher Avenue. The applicant is requesting to subdivide the parent tract, creating 3 new lots for residential development. Lot 3 has an existing home, and a variance has been requested from section 6-10311. Since the last report, Health Department review has come back still pending. Needed is info about the septic system for the existing house on lot 3. And we have had Mr. Stone has brought to us handouts that you have there in front of you, 3 of them. And please correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they deal primarily with the issues with the ingress, egress, and easements. Could you
Yes.
explain a little bit more what those are, please?
Yep, it was tabled last month because I did not have proof of easement egress. I brought you that. The first easement is the existing easement, and I'm requesting the variance for that. If the variance is denied, then I have an easement for a property just to the north of that. So, that's what those are for.
Okay. Our recommendation has not changed. We still offered a favorable on the subdivision as well as an unfavorable on the variance request, as no hardship was present. The following conditions will apply if needed: the engineering approval for the design and construction of the private street, as well as health department approval.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I don't have anything else.
Any- I'm sorry.
Have everything in front of you.
Okay, any questions from the planning commission?
I do have a couple questions. You can access these with 2 private drives.
So on the new easement, it's just an intent because I didn't have enough time to get a surveyor out there for everything.
Sure.
But that is just, there's no driveway yet. If it gets denied for the existing easement, then I was going to install a driveway through that.
But you can't meet the ordinance, is that correct?
The ordinance,
Without the 2 separate drives?
No, with the existing drive as is, the easement as it is being utilized currently would need to be upgraded. If he utilizes the easement he has worked on getting, the new one across the neighboring property,
Yeah.
that would not need to be upgraded to county road standards.
Okay.
So therefore, the variance would not be.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for the planning commission?
Yeah, is this gonna be like a 3-lot subdivision section?
so this is, there's the existing home that's on there, a lot for myself, and then a lot for my mother-in-law and father-in-law. And that's, yes, and the rest of it's just acreage,
Okay,
woods.
so, but I read in here where you have said something about a total of 5.
If he were to utilize the existing easement,
Yes.
it would serve 5 lots.
Yes.
Now, one other question. What kind of, have you guys thought about any ideas about fire protection? As in hydrants and stuff like that?
No, I have not. That's something that will be, I'm sure, coming up once we do start the building processes and stuff.
Tell you who you need to get a hold of. You know, I'm on the Seasonville Fire Department, okay?
Okay.
Get a hold of John Hendricks. At area code 812-877-4711. That's the fire department, that phone number.
Perfect.
And you can talk to him about this property right here, and what he'll explain to you what you want to do.
It's perfect. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, is there any other questions from the planning commission? Is there anyone speaking in opposition? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've got a question about, egress road that's existing right now. On that affidavit from, Danvers, stated that she believes that road is 20 feet wide. That road is at 10 foot at best wide. It's down towards where it crosses over his property. Goes through an S turn, and it's a big bump, big old tree right on one side, and go around the S turn to go around the pole. That's why you gotta go around it. Like, it's all single lane, it's 10 foot, that's it. Not 20 foot. Not, I've been out there over 20 years. That road's never been any wider than 10 foot. That's been.
What the document says is the easement is 20 feet. It doesn't say the driveway is. That means that if he wants to, he can upgrade it and make it 20 feet wide. He has the legal right to make it a 20-foot road if he wants to. It's not, it's on your property, but it is an easement that was granted, I think, in 1959 by whoever owned the property then. We've got it. Yep. Yeah, it doesn't specify what the driveway width is, it specifies what the easement he has to work with is, and that is 20 feet.
If you approve, you'll be able to go in there, bulldoze my land, and make it another 10 foot wide.
He can go in and out that 20 feet and make improvements on that 20-foot width, yes.
What about telephone pole per se, way 18 feet?
We don't have that on our map, but, I mean, obviously you can't take telephone poles down. Yeah, I mean, there's a legal description of the driveway, and he can work within those boundaries. That's what the document says. Did that answer your question, or do you still have a question, or? Okay.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this issue? If not, I'd like a motion, please.
I move for approval of the subdivision with the variance request.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is docket number 90, special ordinance 48, 2022, 2522, North 17th Street, Terre Haute, Indiana, from R1 to a C1 neighborhood commerce district.
You guys do have a letter from one of the neighbors in front of you. It's a handwritten copy. The property owner is Phil Deckert. Proposed use is accessory off-site storage of motor vehicles for a local business. Proposed zoning is C1 Neighborhood Commerce District. Current zoning is R1 Single Family Residence District. The address is 2522 North 17th Street. It has R1 to the north, east, south, and west. The petitioner is requesting to rezone to C1 Neighborhood Commerce District to use the property for off-site parking for vehicles for a local business. The petitioner has requested a special use to allow accessory off-street storage of private passenger automobiles located elsewhere than on the same zoning lot as the principal use served. They also requested a variance from the 5-foot interior setback for the existing building and a variance from the required hard surfacing. All of those were granted this morning at the Board of Zoning Appeals. No motor vehicle repair work is allowed in a C1 district. Parking must be hard surfaces if variances are not granted, and a stormwater drainage plan approved by city engineering. Parking must be effectively screened on each side which adjoins or faces residential properties. Residentially zoned properties exist on all sides. The ingress-egress must meet commercial drive requirements. According to the comprehensive plan, enhancement areas should relate to surrounding residential neighborhoods, but not adversely impact the livability of those neighborhoods through traffic, lighting, noise, litter, or other impacts. This use and zoning classification, this location could be considered spot zoning. However, the property appears to have operated as non-residential for several years. The staff gives a favorable recommendation with the following conditions: approval of the special use and variances by City Board of Zoning Appeals, which it did get, site plan and storage drainage approval by city engineering.
Okay, the petitioner is represented by counsel.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, members of the commission. My name is Jeff Llewellyn. I'm an attorney with the Wilkinson Gola Law Firm here in Terre Haute. I'm appearing on behalf of the petitioner, Phil Deckert. Mr. Deckert purchased this property through a tax sale proceeding. The property, if you're familiar with it, if you've looked, it is zoned R1 residential. We're seeking the rezoning to a C1 classification. Our request is coming after discussions with Area Plan Department and City Engineering, recommending that that would be the route to take for this intended use. We do intend to use the property ultimately, actually. Mr. Deckert would sell the property to a local business owner who has a car restoration collection business here in town, which is, and I'm going to look at my notes, but it's Collectible Auto Restoration Services, goes by the acronym CARS, C-A-R-S. His business is located on 16th Street. He's growing to the point where he would like to have additional storage space for his vehicles. The C1 zoning classification allows for the Board of Zoning Appeals to approve off-site storage as an accessory use to a principal business. So that's why we're going this route. And as the staff report indicated, the Board of Zoning Appeals did approve the special exception for this use this morning, as well as a couple of variances that relate to the property. If you're familiar with the property, though, you'll note that it has about a 2,700 square foot concrete block structure on the property. It's a commercial type building. It's not a residential building. There's not been a home on the property. It's probably a grandfathered situation, if you will, from years gone by. The surrounding neighborhood is R1. To the east is an R5, a C5 about a block and a half away. That does have a commercial use as well. And if you go a couple blocks to the west, you find a body shop with a commercial use as well. But apparently this property and neighboring property to the south and to the north was used as a factory at one point in time, and all of those properties have commercial type structures on them. So our intended use is to use it for storage of these collectible vehicles. It's not a business where there will be in and out traffic. Simply parking vehicles is the intent for this. We feel that with the business owner taking possession and cleaning up the property, he'll do the proper landscaping. Screening is required. He's agreeable to doing screening. It will be an improvement to the lot and to the neighborhood surrounding to actually have the property maintained in that fashion versus its current condition, which was, as I indicated, property lost in a tax sale proceeding by an owner who's not paying their taxes and not maintaining the property. The sale by Mr. Deckard is contingent upon the rezoning of the property from the R1 to C1 zoning classification. I would be glad to answer any questions that you might have. Otherwise, we would respectfully request a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Any questions from the planning commission? Is there anyone speaking in opposition? We have a letter, but is there anyone here speaking in opposition? If not, I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item is under subdivisions, County Retonis, docket number 88, file 38, 2022, Bucks.
Yes, this agenda item does have a subdivision and a rezoning, both addressing the same property. Would you like them heard concurrently?
Yes, please.
Okay. We'll start with the subdivision. The property is a vacant field bounded by State Road 63 on the west and West Spring Hill Drive on the south, 24.53 acres. Surveyor is Mr. Tolles. The request is to subdivide the parent tract into 5 lots for commercial development. The health department has approved. Sanitary sewer is within 300 feet and must be utilized. Public water is available along 63, but not on Spring Hill. A main extension may be required. Portions are in flood zones. Lots exceed the minimum lot size requirement. Stormwater drainage will be required with the major subdivision. Portions of all lots are in FEMA-identified special flood hazard areas. Accordingly, all development is outlined in the flood hazard ordinance for Vigo County must meet local, state, and federal requirements. Access to State Road 63 may be limited by NDOT. If a road cut is granted off State Road 63, alterations to the highway may be requested and must be accommodated. Preferably, access could be granted from West Spring Hill Drive. This would require easements across lots 1 and 2 for access to lot 5. Commercial drive cut designs and locations will need to be approved either by NDOT or Vigo County Engineering, depending on where the road cuts are located. A rezoning of the property is required and has been submitted. We offer a favorable on the primary and the secondary if NDOT approval is granted. A favorable on the primary only if access is to be from West Spring Hill only, as easements to access Lot 5 will be needed and should be indicated on the plat. Either way, the following conditions will be applied: road cut permits where needed, drainage and erosion control plan approval, bonding for 110% of the infrastructure if needed, and fire department approval. On to the rezoning. Property owner is Spring Hill Properties LLC, represented by Mr. Shagley. The proposed use is a service station. It is currently A1 Agricultural District. The proposed zoning is C2 Community Commercial District. We know where the property is. More specifically, this request is just for the one lot where 63 and Spring Hill meet. It's not for the whole of the property, just the one lot, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. The area is recognized as suburban residential by guidance. It has a low development priority. Surrounding uses are to the north, residential suburban. The south is C2 and A1. To the west is open space, and to the east is agricultural. Approval of the major subdivision will be needed. Site plan calls for curb cuts along Spring Hill Road and State Road 63. Again, approval of the location of each cut must be approved. The county will have to approve of the Spring Hill, and NDOT will have to approve of the one along 63. As we know, the area is in a FEMA identified special flood hazard area. All developments, including structures and tanks, will be required to comply with the flood hazard ordinance for Vigo County, and plans must be stamped by a design professional stating that all criteria have been met. The intersection of State Road 63 and Spring Hill has been of some commercial interest for a while now. Developments at this location have mostly been postponed, but mostly have been proposed, but have not materialized due to the expenses associated with construction in a flood zone. Other uses in the area are a heavy draw for traffic. Those uses are commercial and recreational in nature. The county has identified this area as an important thoroughfare and has been improving the roads to meet future demand. Over time, it is believed that most uses along Spring Hill Drive will become commercial in nature. So we offer favorable on the C2 Community Commercial District rezoning request with the following conditions: approval of the major subdivision, all construction plans to meet or exceed FEMA standards for new construction in a special flood hazard area, approval of the landscape and buffer plan where residential adjoins, and NDOT or county engineering approval of the road cut design and location.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. President, fellow members of the commission. My name is Richard Shagley. I'm with the law firm of Wright, Shagley & Lowry, and tonight I'm here on behalf of Spring Hill Properties LLC. As indicated by Jared, they are asking you this evening to rezone the corner of Spring Hill and 63. They would like to build a convenience store, gas station. They have one currently at Spring Hill and Canal, the Bucks, and then they also have the one on Margaret and 3rd Street. And then, as you may recall, I was here probably 2 years ago. They own the property that used to be the little hotel on North Lafayette that has been removed, and their intentions, I was here to rezone that property for. They've been a long time member in our community, and they would like to build another convenience store at that location. They're well aware of the flood and the restrictions and the necessary improvements they need to make as a result of the where the property is located. They're working with Align, former Myers Engineering, as well as Dan Sanders in this process. They have, in my opinion, a good group working on this, and we feel confident they'll be able to meet all the requirements necessary to comply with all state and local regulations. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Just wanted to clarify, it is Lot 1 in Bucks 4 lot subdivision.
Yeah.
I didn't specify that
Just the
earlier,
corner.
but it's just Lot 1.
Because originally the plan was to rezone the whole portion, but they just are now asking for the one corner where the Bucks is going to be located.
Everybody clear on that?
Yeah.
Okay, questions from the planning commission? Anyone speaking in opposition to this petition? Yes, sir.
My name is Ward Hubbard. I own the property directly to the east of this property. It's landlocked, it's by that property. It's never been an issue because the farmer that farmed that property also farmed my property. If indeed that happens, I have no access to my property.
Yeah, Ward and I talked last week. Yeah. hear back the response from my people on that. I think it's just a matter of figuring out how the layout's gonna be and, coming up with a solution for that. It's just a matter of, I think, in that same level.
Do you understand this issue?
You can't landlock him into anything.
I mean, it's not an issue for this, it's more of an issue between Mr. Hubbard and,
Yeah, us changing it won't change his situation. He's
No.
landlocked anyway.
no.
He just happens to have a friendly neighbor.
Currently, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, John.
I think, if I'm mistaken,
He's got that. Someplace he just doesn't be my
he
guess.
doesn't have access to Thompson, to Spring Hill because of the Thompson ditch left, basically.
That's correct.
There is a lane there now, and what we can do is, we can, I'm sure the owners will abide to, us, yeah. I do have one comment. I think we're investigating right now, I'm Matt Boris with Align Engineering. We're investigating, and Mark, you might be able to speak to this, who controls State Road 63 to Spring Hill? Is it NDOT or is it the county? We're trying to, we've been,
The city, they turned over a
City. The city took it to city limits.
okay. So we're not really sure that we're gonna have to have an NDOT permit for a drive.
That may be, I don't know where that control
Okay.
ends.
All right. That's the only comment I have.
Because I believe the city owns down to just south of the prison.
Okay. In which case, then city engineering has to approve of it.
But they did a weird line to bring in the prison, so we'll have to look at the map stuff. That was one of those.
Regardless, we'll deal with
Yeah.
whoever we have to.
It is right on the line, and the city has an agreement with the county about which border streets are maintained by each. The city maintains the south and the east sides. So this would be
It's a
both south and
workable
east.
issue. Yeah, it's a workable issue. Any other question I'd be happy to answer?
Okay, any questions from Mr. Shagg? Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Any other comments to this issue?
Motion for approval on subdivision and the, zoning.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item is a subdivisions major, docket number 84, file 36, 2022, Rikers Retreat.
The property is commonly associated with 6096 East Fort Harrison Road, 1.33 acres, surveyor is Mr. Little. The request is to subdivide one lot for residential development. The health department has approved, we got that this afternoon. Sanitary is not available. Public water is not available, a main extension of 2,000 feet would be needed to provide service. It is not in a flood zone. The lots do exceed the minimum lot size requirement. And typically, stormwater drainage would be required with a major subdivision. This does fall under a major subdivision due to the number of lots having been subdivided from the parent tract. Due to the size and nature of the proposed development, staff would recommend a waiver of most of the major subdevelopment standards. Minor subdivision standards will still apply. Currently, a barn sits 0.7 feet onto the new lot. An easement for the barn will be needed for it to persist, otherwise the barn will need to be removed. The surveyor's report makes mention of a letter we have on file. We're uncertain what that letter is the surveyor is referring to. We're able to locate a letter that deals with surface and subsurface drainage that we believe to be that letter in reference. This will maximize the number of lots permissible on a private drive as per section 610311. We do offer favorable on the primary and secondary with the following conditions: creation of an easement or removal of the barn, inclusion of the letter with the recorded plat, and of course it must be recorded within 90 days.
Okay, petitioner, do you have anything you want to add or questions you have?
No, sir.
Did you understand what he was saying?
Yeah, and the easement that he's talking about with the barn, it is in the works.
Vince.
We are in communication with them.
Okay. Is the
Just
letter
waiting
that
on it.
he's referring to the one that we discovered that deals with surface and subsurface drainage?
I
Do you know?
believe that's the guy that came out to do the soil samples. That's the only thing I can think of.
I can communicate with your surveyor and see if I can't get to the bottom of it for you.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions from the planning commission? Anyone speaking in opposition? May I have a motion, please? So. Second. All in favor, aye. Aye. Motion passes. Next item is docket number 85, file 37, 2022, HH1 lot.
The property is commonly associated with 3400 South US Highway 41. More specifically, it is the quick service drive-through restaurant on the west side of that property. 0.73 acres, surveyors Mr. Tolles. The request is to subdivide the existing establishment and adjoining ground from the parent tract. Health Department is approved, sanitary sewer is on site, as well as public water. It's not in a flood zone. The lot does exceed the minimum lot size requirement, and typically stormwater drainage would be required. However, the site is already developed and no changes are proposed. No additional development is anticipated at this time. All development standards should have been met at the time of permitting. Any alterations to the site may require updated submittals and approvals to meet code. We offer favorable on the primary and secondary, so long as the plat is recorded within 90 days.
Okay, is the petitioner present? Anything you want to add? Any questions from the planning commission? Anyone speaking in opposition? Have a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Motion passes. Docket number 87, UZO 2022, 4325, South US Highway 41, Terre Haute, Indiana, from an R1 to a C3 regional commercial district.
You skip, want to go out of order, or you, I think you said.
Oh, I already called it, let's just do it.
You got it. The property owner is Newman and Company Incorporated. The proposed use minute storage units, current zoning RS single-family residential, proposed zoning C3 regional commercial district. The site is located on the south side of State Road 46, approximately 912 feet north of the intersection of State Road 46 and South Broderick Street, commonly known as 7121 South State Road 46. The area is identified as suburban residential. Development priority is medium-intensity residential at this location. To the north is residential suburban, south agricultural, west is also residential with some as well on the east. East also has C3. Many warehouses are a permitted use by right in the C3 district. A similar use is located immediately to the east. The property will be cleared and the buildings demolished. Proper buffering against the adjoining residential use will be needed. A type C buffer yard as set forth in section 17 is required. Hard surfacing of all public use areas is also required. Commercial drive cut design and location must have approval from NDOT. State Road 46, as it enters Riley, is rapidly becoming a commercial node. This has likely been driven by the residential population locally and the desire to have access to services closer to residential developments. Outside of this node, the nearest commercial hub is on State Road 46 near the I-70 interchange. Commercial nodes are often demand-driven local use areas around important intersections. Node areas serve as employment centers and accommodate a mix of office, retail, and commercial buildings. Nodes often form a network of regional commercial uses centered around larger hubs. The greater network then works to fill the needs of both the local and the regional population. Staff offers a favorable recommendation for this rezoning request with the following conditions: approval from Eagle County Engineering for the stormwater drainage plan, NDOT approval of the drive cut, design and location, and approval of the landscape and buffer plan.
Okay, petitioners present, anything you'd like to add or any questions you have?
Yes, sir.
Any questions from the planning commission? I knew you wanted to get out of here early. Anyone speaking in opposition? Yes, sir.
Not necessarily opposition, just concerns. I'm friendly with them.
Yes, sir.
And for other length of time, did you have storage sheds out there presently on 46? Every time it rains, that water just flows straight to the west, plus it back from the front. When they help you out, back up trailer after trailer, so and stuff, he told me that there were parts of the plan that really never cried out. Since your storage, I just want to have about an acre and a half of dirt.
We're working with Myers Engineering. They're gonna, for the watershed, and they're also working with the county engineer for approval. So we're also addressing the present storage units, water issues, to capture that water on the property. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions by anybody? Have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
You tried to trick me, didn't you? I said, let's go ahead with the one I called, and that wasn't the one I called. Okay. Okay, the next item is, docket 87 UZO 2022 4325 South US Highway 41 from an R1 to a C3 regional commercial district.
Okay, the property owner in this case is Fusen LLC. The proposed use is construction of auto detailing business. The current zoning is R1 Single Family Residential, the proposed zoning C3 Regional Commercial District. Represented by Mr. Llewellyn, and the common address 4325 South US Highway 41. This area is considered high-intensity residential for development. The surrounding uses are R1 Single Family to the south and west. To the north and east are C3. The north also has a planned unit development and some open space. The petitioner has requested to rezone property immediately to the rear to construct an automotive detailing business. This area is in a FEMA-identified special flood hazard area. The site plan indicates that the building will be constructed to comply with all FEMA standards, and fill will be brought in to elevate the structure. For fill, a letter from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife is required prior to permitting that states that the project is in compliance with Sections 9 and 10 of the Endangered Species Act. If applying for a letter of map revision based on fill, the plans must meet all requirements as set forth in FEMA Technical Bulletin 10-01 and FEMA MT-1. An as-built elevation certificate must be submitted upon completion of the new structure. All stormwaters must be contained on site. Stormwater and drainage plan must be approved by Vigo County Engineering. It is important to protect the surrounding residential uses from the regional commercial zoning. A Type C buffer yard will be required. The property owner currently utilizes an opaque fence topped with a deterrent and mature trees as a visual screen. This may prove a suitable visual screen so long as the neighbors do not detest vehemently. Traffic should not be permitted to access either Mayfair Drive west of the current drive cut or west of York Drive or West York Drive. Neither are constructed to handle commercial traffic. Alternatively, the developer may upgrade the roads. The business does not currently utilize those portions of either road. Special attention should also be paid to light and noise pollution intruding into the surrounding neighborhoods. We do offer a favorable recommendation for this rezoning request with the following conditions: approval of the engineering for the drainage plan, approval of landscape and buffer plan, approval of the site plans to ensure FEMA compliance, and then staff would request restrictions be placed on access to West York Drive or upgrades made to standards outlined by Vigo County Engineering.
Mr. Llewellyn.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the commission. I am Jeff Llewellyn, appearing on behalf of the petitioner, Fusen LLC. We are seeking your favorable recommendation of a rezoning from the current R1 zoning classification to the C3 zoning classification. The land that we are seeking to rezone is directly west of the existing Fusen automotive dealership. You really wouldn't even know that this piece isn't part of the existing automotive dealership, and quite frankly, I think what we're doing today is probably what was done or should have been done many years ago, and we're kind of correcting maybe an oversight when the dealership went in, because the property along Highway 41 South frontage back to this lot is currently zoned C3, and then this piece back to York Drive somehow ended up or remaining as an R1, although it has been used in conjunction with the dealership from the beginning. It is a graveled area right now, parking facility area for their vehicles, whether it's maintenance or used cars or vehicles in waiting, but they've been using it as part of the dealership since the beginning. What we propose to do now, though, is to improve that lot, to build a facility on there that will be an auto detailing promotional facility that will allow them to service their vehicles in that manner on that lot. There is no intention of adding any new curb cuts from Mayfair or from York. The customers would continue to enter the facility as they currently do, either from the Highway 41 South or the existing curb cuts along Mayfair Drive. So, and we have submitted, I think, a lot of engineering proposed site plans and drainage plans to engineering as well, and obviously will comply with the recommendations required by area plan. And we would respectfully request your favorable recommendation. I would be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the planning commission?
This looks like this is all paved currently.
I don't believe it's actually, is it all paved currently? Okay, my mistake. I thought, I did not realize it was all paved currently, so.
So drainage, for lack of, or whatever, has probably been addressed.
It's probably, well,
At this point.
so, yeah, well, except we're gonna put a structure in there which will limit the surface area, but we do have a drainage plan engineered and available for the departments.
Okay, any other questions? Anyone speaking in opposition to this petition? Thought I need a motion.
So moved. Second.
Favor aye? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Next item is, would you like to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Favor aye? Aye.